Hello my dear students of class 11 science, welcome to biology class. We are dealing with the chapter photosynthesis in higher plants. So we'll continue with the same chapter, and today this is the last class of this chapter. Clear? So today we'll begin with the topic Blackman's principles of limiting factor, and these are very important topics in terms of your examination. Okay, so Blackman's principles of limiting factor, it's in the page number 13.28. So in 1840 we have got this Justus Liebig, who said that the growth of the plant, it depends on the amount of foodstuffs which are present in minimum quantity. That means that whatever the factors or whatever the foodstuffs that are present in minimum quantity, in minimum amount, that will depict the growth of a plant. Okay, so based on this, in 1860 Sachs suggested the three cardinal points theory. Okay, so according to three cardinal point theory, there is a minimum, optimum and maximum for each factor concerned with photosynthesis. That means whatever the factors, like let's say light, temperature, carbon dioxide, water, whatever the factors that will control the rate of photosynthesis has got a minimum, optimum and a maximum concentration. Okay, so minimum means that particular value where there will be no photosynthesis. Clear? Where photosynthesis does not take place. At optimum, the rate of photosynthesis is the best, it will be highest, and at maximum, the process of photosynthesis will stop. So these are the three cardinal points: minimum, where there will be no photosynthesis; optimum, where we will find the best rate of photosynthesis; and we have got the maximum, after which there will be no photosynthesis, or the photosynthesis will stop. Clear? So now we have got the most important one, the Blackman's law of limiting factor. Clear? And I have told you that this is the most important topic for your examination also. So the Blackman's law of limiting factor states that when a process is conditioned, very carefully, when a process is conditioned as to its rapidity by a number of separate factors, the rate of process is limited by the pace of the slowest factor. That means when a particular process is governed by a number of factors, I am telling you that the photosynthesis is controlled by several factors like light, temperature, carbon dioxide and water. So we have got more than one factor which will control the rate of photosynthesis. Clear? But here the rate of the process will be governed or will be depicted by that particular factor which is present in the lowest amount. So here the lowest amount will control the rate of the process rather than the one which is present at the highest one. So this is called the Blackman's law of limiting factor. So when a process is governed or is conditioned more than one factor, then the rate of the process is limited by the pace of the slowest factor. Clear? So let's say, for example, in photosynthesis, if the amount of light, temperature, water is higher than that of the carbon dioxide, then the rate or the amount of carbon dioxide will control the rate of photosynthesis because it is present in slower amount or in the lowest amount. Okay, so for example, we will just explain the Blackman's law by the help of example. Let's over here. So Blackman studied the effect of carbon dioxide concentration, light intensity and temperature on the rate of photosynthesis. So you can see that there are three factors which is controlling the rate of photosynthesis: carbon dioxide, light and temperature. Okay, and other factors are maintained in optimum temperature or in optimum concentrations. So at the beginning, photosynthetic material was kept at 20 degrees Celsius, that is the temperature. Okay, where the concentration of the carbon dioxide was 0.01%. So temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, carbon dioxide concentration is 0.01% or 1 parts per million. Okay, now let's talk about the light intensity. Now when the light of low intensity was provided, photosynthesis was found to occur. Now listen very carefully, we have got three factors over here: temperature, light and carbon dioxide concentration. Temperature 20 degrees Celsius, carbon dioxide concentration 0.01%. Now what we are doing, we are slowly increasing the intensity of light. So first there was light of low intensity where there was photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis was occurring at low intensity of light. Now slowly the intensity of light was increasing, and when the light intensity was increasing slowly, the rate of photosynthesis was also increasing, but afterward it became constant. Okay, so when the intensity of light was increasing from low to high and high and high and high, up to a certain point, we can see that the rate of photosynthesis was increasing, but after a certain point it will become constant. It will neither increase nor decrease. Now why? Because at this time the other factors seems to be at the lowest point. Okay, so the rate of photosynthesis now can only be increased by increasing the concentration of carbon dioxide, because now the carbon dioxide concentration is usually the lowest as compared to the intensity of light. So now the rate of photosynthesis can only be increased when we will increase the concentration of carbon dioxide. So this indicates that initially the light intensity was the limiting factor which will mainly control the rate of photosynthesis, but when the light intensity was usually increasing from low to high and high and higher, so that particular factor was becoming sufficient to the plant. Okay, and at the same time the concentration of the carbon dioxide was becoming lower, and as a result the carbon dioxide concentration was becoming the limiting factor. So when sufficient quantity of both was provided, the rate of photosynthesis rose initially but again reached a peak. So when again the concentration of carbon dioxide was increased, the rate of photosynthesis was increasing, but again after a certain point it will become constant. Okay, it will not increase further. Why? Now both the intensity of light and the concentration of carbon dioxide are at its maximum. It is a sufficient level. Now which becomes the process governing factor or the limiting factor? Temperature. Okay, now when we'll increase the temperature, now again the rate of photosynthesis will increase. Okay, so at this stage increase in temperature could raise the rate of photosynthesis, but other factors becomes limiting. So therefore we can say that the rate of a physiological process is limited only by the factor which is deficient. Okay, so this is called the Blackman's law of limiting factor. And carefully go through the figure number 13.23. This is the it's in the page number 13.28. okay, you have to go through the figure number 13.23. okay, graphic representations of Blackman's law of limiting factor. So whenever the question comes like state the Blackman's law of limiting factor, so you have to state the law and you have to explain it by giving the examples, and you have to draw the figure number 13.23. clear? Now next one, we'll talk about the factors affecting photosynthesis. What are the different factors that will control the rate of photosynthesis? So we have got the external factor and we have got the internal factor. External factors means we have got carbon dioxide, okay, then we have got light, and we have got temperature. Okay, so let's talk out about the external factors that will control the rate of photosynthesis. First one is carbon dioxide. Okay, so carbon dioxide is very important, or is one of the most important raw material for photosynthesis. Clear? And also the major limiting factor for photosynthesis also. So the carbon dioxide concentrations in the air generally rise between 0.03 to 0.04%. okay, and the increase in concentration of carbon dioxide up to 0.05 will increase its fixation, that we have learned while we are talking about the C3 cycle and the C4 cycle in C3 plant and C4 plants. Clear? Now beyond the 0.05% of carbon dioxide it becomes dangerous, okay, and even the rate of photosynthesis will come into cessation, it will stop. So C3 and C4 plants differ in their photosynthetic response to the available of carbon dioxide concentrations. Clear? So in C3 plants the rate of photosynthesis increases with an increase in carbon dioxide concentration up to about 500 parts per million. Listen very carefully. In C3 plants, this is very important, okay, remember. In C3 plants, the rate of photosynthesis increases with an increase in carbon dioxide concentration up to about 500 parts per million. That means up to 500 parts per million increase in carbon dioxide concentration will increase the rate of photosynthesis in case of C3 plants. Okay, so when other factors are not limiting, the increase in rate of photosynthesis in C3 plant is due to the ability of substrate in higher concentration and reduce photorespirations. Now in C4 plants, okay, in C4 plants, photosynthesis increases if the concentration of carbon dioxide increases. That means here also the rate of photosynthesis is increasing when the carbon dioxide concentration will increase. But C4 plants will attain saturations at much lower carbon dioxide concentration. Now what is the saturation point in case of C4 plants for the rate of photosynthesis? Generally, it is around 360 parts per million. So in C4 plants, the carbon dioxide concentrations where the C4 plants will attain saturations is 360 parts per million, whereas for that of C3 plant it is how much? 500 parts per million. Okay. Number 2, light. The ultimate source of light is mainly the solar energy, right? The sunlight. Clear? So here we have got nearly 3 factors we can say when we talk about the light. That is the quality of the lights, the light intensity, and the duration of the light. So this will generally affect the rate of photosynthesis. Now let's talk about the quality of light. So white light, it has got 7 colors, okay, which have got different wavelengths. And when we're talking about the light absorptions by the chlorophyll molecules, we are talking about the PS1 and PS2, remember, which will absorb the different wavelength of light having 700 nanometer and 680 nanometer, and that's why we are calling them P700 and P680. Okay, so light between the wavelength of 400 nanometer and 700 nanometer is the most effective one for the photosynthesis, and it is called the photosynthetically active radiation, PAR. So that means the light having wavelength between 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer is the best one, where we will find the best rate of photosynthesis. Then we'll talk about the light intensity. Okay, the rate of photosynthesis has direct relation to the light intensity. So under low intensity of light, the rate of photosynthesis will be low, and when the light intensity will increase, the rate of photosynthesis will also increase. But at the very high intensity of light, the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. Clear? Now why does the rate of photosynthesis will decrease when the light intensity will keep on increasing? Because the other factors like temperature, carbon dioxide becomes limiting one. They becomes lesser in concentration, and they become the limiting factor for the rate of photosynthesis. Number 2, at the high intensity of light, the chlorophyll molecules or the other enzymes will become non-functional. Okay, and therefore the destruction of chlorophylls in the presence of oxygen at high intensity of light is called photooxidation. So here also the rate of photosynthesis will stop or will decrease under high intensity of light. Number C is duration of light. So duration of daily light period has a significant effect on the rate of photosynthesis. So whenever a plant is exposed to longer period of light, then there will be more rate of photosynthesis. Clear? So it has also been found that uninterrupted and continuous photosynthesis for relatively longer period of time may be sustained without any visible damage to the plant. Now let's talk about the next factor, is temperature. So in presence of light and carbon dioxide, photosynthesis increases with the rise in temperature till it become maximum, because beyond the point of maximum the process will stop. Okay, so in presence of plenty of light and carbon dioxide concentration, photosynthesis will increase with the rise in temperature till it become maximum. After that, it will decrease or fall in the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, so the optimum temperature for the rate of photosynthesis is between 25 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. We will find the best rate of photosynthesis. Okay, now we are telling that after the maximum point it will stop. The rate of photosynthesis will stop, and this is called the maximum temperature. Okay, the temperature at which the rate of photosynthesis will just start, will just initiate, is called the minimum temperature. For lichens it is as low as -20 degrees Celsius, and for certain conifer it is minus 25 degrees Celsius. Now fourth factor is water. So being one of the raw materials, water is also necessary for photosynthesis. So increase in the water content of the leaf results in corresponding increase in rate of photosynthesis. The limiting effect of water is not direct but indirect. Why? Because water helps in maintaining turbidity of the asymmetry cells, and it also helps in proper hydration of the protoplasm. So here we are talking about the 4 factors of photosynthesis. So out of these 4 factors, let's say if the temperature is at the lowest concentration or the lowest amount, then it will become the limiting factor. According to which law? According to the Blackman's law of limiting factor. So here we have finished the rate of we have finished chapter photosynthesis in higher plants. Okay, so this was for today's class. We will continue with new chapter in the next class, which will be very, very important in terms of examinations, and those chapters we have also learned in class 10. That will be sort of brief revisions for you also. Okay, so you next class with the new chapters. Thank you.